Well, welcome to a day on the Grebe. Um, Start off first. This is how we launch our boat. We store our boat on land during the winter and summer months when it's not in the water. We usually launch it the first part of July, usually right around the 4th of July, and then it'll be in the water for about 6 weeks. So the crane comes over. It's on four wheels. You can see it lifts up the boat and goes over, and then we set it in the river. As you can see, other boats out there are moored. That's what we'll do during the season, is we moor right here. This is the Kasilof River just south of the Kenai, Alaska. They lower us into the water, and then we make sure that it's not leaking, and then we shove off down the river, and we kind of go out, usually go and just make sure everything's working right and run it. Here we are just leaving the docks, and we're heading out of the river towards the Cook Inlet. This shot's actually looking west. We got about 3 mile run out of the river till we get to the ocean. Once we're out on the ocean, you can see we shot this over a couple of days, but we set the net. It's a drift net. We have a Cook Inlet drift net permit. So what we do is we have a 900-foot net. It's 3 sections of netting with a lead line on the bottom. Each section's 300 feet long and 18 feet deep. So we stretch that out there and we let it drift. The boat right now is in idle. We just use it to keep the net tight. Wind will push us around, and we just bob around in the ocean and wait for fish to swim in the net. There's the crew, Hayden and Cash. Fisher, he usually hangs out. He's our pilot most of the time, drives the boat, keeps us on our courses. This clip I threw in there, that is Mount Redoubt in the background. It's an active volcano, and we got to see it spewing out some steam quite a bit. Another thing is, while we're out there fishing, we look for the rips, we call them, and it's where two currents come together. High tide in Kenai is about 2 hours ahead of high tide in Anchorage. They're about 60 miles, ocean miles apart. And so somewhere out here, even though the water's dead still around Kenai, there's a current somewhere flooding the Anchorage. So we look for these rips. This is where the fish swim. It's kind of like in a river where you have an eddy. Here's a clip of Fisher. He's driving the boat, and he has a hard time with a little bit of seasickness. So we're glad when he's around with us. Anyway, we look for these rips, and it's like the eddy in a river. The fish will always want to be on the outside of the where the current's moving. Here's a good picture you can see with the difference in colors. And the difference in colors will bring you a difference in currents. So this is on a rip line here, and we're soaking the net right on the side of the rip where we think we can catch the most fish. Obviously, that guy thinks he can catch more on the other side of the rip, but you never know. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes we even split it. While we're soaking the net, there's not much to do, so this is what the crew does. They, you get a little bit of rock into the ocean, and it doesn't take long after about half a day. And we usually leave port about 3 in the morning. We start fishing at 7. We have a 12-hour opener. We'll set a net out and we'll soak it for about an hour, hour and a half, and then we pull it in. It takes about an hour and a half to pull it in. So we can usually get 4 or 5 good soaks a day. And when net's soaking, one person's got to stay up, make sure that no boats run into us and we don't run into any boats. And there you can see the net just kind of hanging around out there. Here's another picture. We run the net. This is a drift net. If it's a decent day and the ocean's not too big, we stretch the net out, and then we just run from end to end of it, and we'll hook the boat to it just to keep it tight. You can see this is a pretty flat day. This is, I think, our second opener that we made it out to this year, second week in July. Pretty flat seas, and all the other boats are kind of doing the same thing we're doing. You stretch the net out, and that was Cash going back to the back of the boat. We're gonna hook up right here. We have a buoy on each end, and we come in and we have a long pole. We reach out and we grab that blue cord right there you see coming in the picture, and we'll hook it up on the back cleat of the boat, and then we use the boat to just to, like I say, keep the net tight. We usually lay it out east to west, and we try to put a little bit of hook on the ends of it, because the fish will see the net and try to swim around it. For some reason, people say they don't like to swim backwards, so as they try to swim around it, if it's hooked on the ends, kind of a half moon shaped with the current. Current in the Cook Inlet, where we're at, some days, you can see some fish striking there. Some days the current, it will be up to 6 to 10 miles an hour, so in an hour and a half soak, it's very possible that we can drift 15 miles. And here's some pictures of the fish hitting the net while it's out there. You stretch it out, and see, when they hit it, they'll put a big bow in it, and if you don't keep your net tight, then the fish will sew themselves into it, and it causes a heck of a mess. Yeah, here's another picture of some fish hitting. This is kind of unique, because the fish, it looks like, are hitting from the north end of the net. Usually they swim to the north, and you usually catch them as they're swimming up the inlet. This actually looks like a group of fish that's hitting him from the other direction. And just another landscape. There's Cash. This is usually his perch. He likes to hang out right here on the back of the boat and watch things happen. This is a picture of the reel, and it essentially is a reel. There's Hayden too. He likes to be up on the front or up high, looking out. Beautiful morning. We had to shoot these pictures. It was flat and beautiful, and this is very uncommon of the Cook Inlet during July. Again, the reel's hydraulic powered, and it reels the net in. It's a very, very heavy net. Picture up the cabin and pilot house, and just again, kind of just showing a rare day on the inlet. After about our hour and a half, then it's time to start pulling the net in, and we hook the rope onto the reel, and it reels in, and you can see there's a big heavy rope, and then it will split off right here in a minute. The lead line's on the bottom. As you can see, it goes down, and then the cork line floats. And it's not so much pulling the net into the boat, but since the net weighs so much more than the boat, it actually pulls the boat back over the net. So my job is to run the hydraulics on the boat and to keep the net from getting caught in the propeller. As the fish come up over the back of the boat, then the boys start picking. And on the end of the net, it's always hard to get some holes in there, and yeah, you can see the net falls straight down. And if you're not paying attention, it's pretty easy to get in trouble here. The boys will try to sort the fish out of the net. Usually on the end, it's a mess, and it takes quite a while more. You can see Hayden there. He's shaking that fish out. And these are reds. They're destined for the Kenai River. We'll also catch silvers, pinks, and chums. We typically target the reds, and we get more price for them. Some people do pick up a few kings. We haven't. I wouldn't mind catching kings. They go for about $1.85 a pound. We get about $1.20 a pound for the reds. Fish they average about 5 to 7 pounds, so you pretty much look at about $6 to $7 for every fish that hits the deck. Some of the fish are too big. King's heads are too big to get caught in this mesh of a net. So we also have a big landing net on the back. So if a fish is coming in that's too big or not hooked, that's again my job to reach down there and scoop up some money. While we're reeling in, this fish actually hit the net right at the back of the boat. They swim in schools, and their buddies will get caught in the net, and a lot of times they kind of hang around, and you'll see the schools swimming by as you're pulling in the net, and see there's a strike right there. Fish just runs right into the net as we're getting ready to pull it in. You see this is pretty common. If it's a real good fishing day, we'll reel in half our net and then stretch it back out, and then we'll run around to the other end and reel it in. This is what we was doing today. Where it's flat, you can do that. When the seas are big and the wind's going, you can't. You have to just get on the downwind side and pull. We just set our net back out. The seas are starting to pick up. The tide's changed. You can see we had a pretty good net. That one. That's about probably 200-300 fish net. That's about what we see on the Cook Inlet. Bristol Bay, they get probably 10 or 20 times the amount of fish we get. But that's a silver Cassius holding in a real nice red Hayden's got there. And the job now is to throw them down the hole. On each side of the boat we have a ramp, and we throw the fish on the ramp, and they go down into brailer bags. Then once the day's over at 7 o'clock p.m., the season for the day is over, and nets have to be on the boat, and then we steam in. My boat doesn't do too good at speed, so right now, going against the tide, we're probably doing about 8 to 10 knots. It's about right around 10 miles an hour. It takes us a long time to get in, sometimes 3 or 4 hours, depending on where we end up, how far we drift from port, or where they give us our openings. So as we're steaming back in, the boys have a good time. They've done their jobs on the boat, and they like to do king of the world there and play around a little bit. Not bad seas today, a little bit of bouncing, and yeah, you can see I soaked the camera. Oh well. Anyway, picture out the back as we're steaming along, and this is entering the river. We come in, and it's first offload. As you can see, we're in a line coming in, and that's our destination right there. You can't see too much. Is the docks. Then we'll go up the river, and this day coming in, looks like somebody was out dip netting and got their pickup out a little too far. And oh, you want a good used pickup? There you go. But here we are at the docks, and see a few boats have made it in, and they're moored up. This is Cash and I down in the fish hold, and these are called brailer bags. The fish go in the brailer bags, and then they reach down in there with a crane, and we hook the crane up and winch them out. We get 10 cents more a pound for having brailer bags. 5 cents more a pound for having brailer bags. And if you don't have brailer bags, the fish just fall down this hole, and then the cannery employees will come out and throw the fish out. But anyway, we hook the bag on, and we get out of the way when it comes up. We have six of these bags down there. This bag on this particular day, it come in at about 720 pounds of salmon. So you don't want that to land on your head. They'll winch it up, and the man running the winch there, he'll read the scale, and then he dumps it in a big hopper where they'll sort the fish. You get a different price for every species of fish per pound. Typically the pink salmons will go about 10 cents a pound. Chums or dogs will go about 30. You get about 85 cents a pound for silvers. And the reds are, like I say, about $1.10 to $1.25 depending on the day. Once he dumps the bag, then they lower it back down in, and we take it, throw it over the edge so it wash all the slime off. You notice we're not around this either. This is just a big bag of slime, and you can imagine off a fish. So we take this bag and we throw it overboard and tie it off on a cleat and let it rinse itself out. Then we go back and moor up, and that's the Grebe. We've set it all up. All we have to do next time we come down is we holler at the skiff driver here, and he'll run us out to the boat. We fire it up, top off our tanks with fuel, and we'll head out. You can see there's quite a current in the river today, depending on the tides and how fast they come and go out. But anyway, that's a day at the sea on the Grebe. We do this. We usually fish 6 or 8 openers a year. The boat's in the water for 6 weeks, and this is what we do for fun on the summer as we head on back up here to the. You see all the boats are in, and we was one of the last ones in on this day. And again, Sealoft River, Kenai, Alaska. This is a inlet fish, and I think we can take one more look back at the Grebe sitting there, ready to go next time we come out.